You're listening to ProdCast, the personal productivity podcast from CRM Audio, with Matthew C. Anderson and Joel Lindstrom. This episode of ProdCast is sponsored by Analogic. Analogic is a leading Microsoft Gold Dynamics CRM ISV delivering best-in-class Dynamics 365 customer engagement solutions, as well as cost-effective and high-quality offshore Dynamics CRM programming services. Analogic's innovative solution portfolio includes Maplytics, a premier map visualization, routing, and geo-analytics app for Dynamics 365 customer engagement, and Now Link, that offers seamless integration between QuickBooks and Dynamics 365 customer engagement, and other productivity apps like User Adoption Monitor, Click to Clone, and Click to Export. We thank Analogic for sponsoring ProdCast, the personal productivity podcast from CRM Audio.
Hello, Joel. Happy 2018 to you, sir.
Happy 2018.
Feels crazy that we're already saying that, but it's a new beginning. Did you have yourself a good wrap to your 2017 year?
Yeah, it was good. It's a blur. It seems like feel like the old guy just saying, I'm older than some. Be like, oh, time goes so fast now, Yeah, but it does. So just deal with it. But I mean, one of the things that I keep pushing myself is I find this time of year, and especially coming off the holidays where you have a little bit of extra time or more time than you have available the rest of the year when work's going on, is pushing myself to do some things to make good use of the time, because that's the perfect time I find to make progress on some personal goals that you don't have as much time to do the rest of the year. Yeah,
definitely hear you on that one. Though I will say I had some of that time that I thought I was going to have recently here that was taken away from me through the family. My daughter had a nice run-in with the corner of the piano that turned into about an 11.5 hour experience, or perhaps a delve into the intricacies of our healthcare system. So that was
wow.
That was a little bit of fun. She's doing okay at this point, but it was right next to her eye, which caused it to be a bigger hassle than if she'd just gotten a bunk somewhere else. So
how's the piano?
The piano looks just as old as it was before, and just as kind of cold and unused as it was before. Though she is the one who is most likely to go up and start playing the piano, so the relationship there hasn't been permanently damaged.
So last time we talked about looking back and closing out the year. Now let's look forward. How do you start the year off right?
So for me, there are a handful of things that I do, and it's kind of similar to what I do. I know in previous episodes I've talked about kind of getting ready for the week. But when you try to apply that same concept of the week to the year, if you try to maintain that same level of detail, it gets really challenging to be able to figure out what's going to be out there, what you need to do. So for me, it's the same concept of kind of looking out at that upcoming year, but I use some different activities that go into that.
Okay.
So the first thing I do is I do get like a big kind of poster-sized picture of the kind of each month of the year, so I can look at the actual calendar for the upcoming year. And the first thing that I do is I map out any kind of known things that I have coming up that year. Important birthdays or holidays, important conferences, work trip types of things that I know I'm going to lose a week here or lose a week there. If there's any kind of a family, trip that we're planning, or family who is planning to come into town, or weddings or those kind of things, really get those blocked off and get them onto that big calendar early, just to be able to make sure that I can see where are some of those things that I just know are going to have to happen throughout the year. And then from there, it becomes a little bit of a process of looking through the various projects that I have, the bigger picture goals that I've gone through in, say, a goal setting process, and trying to take that and translate it into something that where I know I want to be able to dedicate some time, or I can get an understanding of when a good time might be for me to take on one of those larger projects. As an example, for 2018, one of the things at my house is I definitely don't have a green thumb, and I'm not much of a landscaper, but there are definitely a handful of things there where I need to learn to do a better job of kind of maintaining the shrubbery, and no, weeds are not considered a shrubbery. And but just do a better job with that and figure out how to get something a little more both the initial effort out there and then kind of the recurring work that I'm going to have to do to be able to do that, because it's a problem I've been pushing off for a long time. And I tell you what, Joel, 2018 is going to be the year for that.
Okay. So how do you make yourself stay motivated all year round for that? I mean, are you revisiting your yearly goal, or are you breaking it down into smaller sub goals?
So what I usually don't have, say, a yearly goal. I mean, I will have a long-term goal that I'm looking for, and I'm looking for milestones for each of those goals that I want to hit within the year. And I feel like there's a difference between a goal for the year and like a milestone that I want to hit that's part of a larger goal for the year, for those kind of more macro level goals. So I look through those different categories that I have and where it is that I'm trying to get to, map back those individual milestones that I can have there. Because, looking back at the landscaping one as an example there, like there's no way I could spend every free moment I have in 2018 and spend that trying to improve the landscaping. And I don't think that I could, get it to a point where, the neighbors would look at it and say, gosh, that's a master landscaper right there. So, would I love to be there sometime in the future? Sure. That's a much longer term goal that I have, but some milestones that I can hit are, in the reasonable future, is getting, the main portions of the weeds out of, flower beds and some, cracks in the, stone patio area that we have taken care of and under control this year. So in future years, it'll be maintenance instead of all that heavy lifting. So that's the type of thing that I'm thinking about, that I'm going through as I do that preparation for the year. And then the way I kind of keep on track for that, or keep myself honest, is when I think back to kind of the weekly planning sessions that I'm going for. I made reference to, looking at what are the big picture things that I'm trying to accomplish. Those things are the ones that I'm really putting a bow on when I'm looking forward to a new year. And that's how those things kind of tie together.
Right. And I think a couple things I hear there are, you're not just saying I want to have a better lawn. You're making specific plans. Are you like planning?
Yeah, I don't have it baked out with that yet, but I do have even some educational goals around that, because frankly, I'm enough of a black thumb when it comes to some of this stuff where I don't even know what the right goals are yet. So the time I'm planning is time to go educate myself around lawn care. As an example there. So I will go and, try to read a couple of books, and I don't have all my details planned out of, when these are going to be, but I know I'm going to have a goal for reading a couple of books while there's still snow on the ground here in Minnesota, because that's the stuff that I can be doing to make that progress before the big thaw. And I know, call it by June, I'll be able to have kind of a couple of heavy lifting weekends where I can start making some of the big progress on what I'm trying to get done.
Yeah, I found I'm motivated by negative consequences more than positive rewards. So, I've said before, my occasional working with my laptop unplugged, if I have to get a document put together in a focused period of time, because I know if I don't, my laptop will die and I may lose stuff. Same thing with speaking at conferences. I'll sign up for topics that I don't know anything about to force myself to learn it by a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
Did the same thing with the certification exams. I took all 4 dynamic certification exams last month.
Yeah, congrats on that, by the way.
And I did that intentionally just because I wanted to, be able to talk to my team about how it was, and also just to force myself to do that. So, and also you're saying it publicly. So every episode we have, do you want me to say, "Hey, Matthew, how's the shrubbery?"
You're welcome to do it, but I tell you what, through these cold months, you're not going to hear a lot of progress.
We're in planning phase right now for shrubbery.
Though a somewhat related thing is I'm thinking of having a little spice garden kind of thing. Have mint or something like that on inside. So when we get to Derby time, I can make my mint julep without having to go and buy an overpriced sprig of mint.
And if you fall behind, you can always have a catch up and call a landscaping company to come and clean it up.
Yeah. But no, I mean you well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. But on the concept of bringing it up every time on the podcast, I mean the power of having that external kind of validation, that person or group of people keeping you in check as you're doing that. For some of those longer term goals, I mean that can be a great motivator, or at least put some discipline around the fact that this is going to be coming up and you're going to have to answer to it. So that, I mean, there's definitely value in doing that.
Yeah, and I've never really been great with long term goals, but I've accommodated for that by becoming really good with short-term tasks and creating tasks that lead toward the goal. So I'm not thinking I want to do X on date Y. I'm thinking I'm going to do this smaller task, and I find that a lot more motivating. I find when I've tried to say, I want to, so to me, I'm going to read 120 books this year would not motivate me. Saying I'm going to read this book by the end of the week, though, I'll do that.
Yeah. And
you do that over and over and develop the discipline in the process, then you can hit the bigger goal.
Yeah. Well, 120 books would be aggressive.
I think I set my goal to be 30 and got 25. So sure. That's doable. But there again, I see some of these people who do 100 books, they're reading short books. They're not reading 900 pages about Middle Ages in England or something,
Is that your reading for pleasure definition, Joel? Or?
Yeah, in light of what we talked about last time about finishing things, I recently, one of my things to purge out the old year was purging apps that I have on my phone. This happened because my phone, and I've had this happen on both Android and iOS, you reach a point where your battery just starts dying really fast, like losing 1% a minute, and then you realize, it's all this stuff I got running on my phone and background syncs and stuff. So I cut it out. I forced myself to go down to, 1 or 1.5 email apps, even though I can't find one that does everything I need it. And same thing, just cut them out. And so my goal for this year, one of them is to learn more about the tools I already have rather than buying new tools. Because I look at all the stuff they've introduced in the Microsoft Office suite from Excel and OneNote, and there's a lot of stuff there that I don't know how to do, that I'm sure I could work better and do more without really having to invest in new apps. And so in looking for learning opportunities through the MVP program, I got access to LinkedIn Learning. And there's some really good stuff on there as far as Excel and even productivity stuff and management, leadership type stuff. I don't know that I would use them to learn CRM, but things like there's podcasting courses and things that'll teach me how to get more out of the tools that I use that I'm just scratching the surface on right now. So that's my goal. And what I found is, LinkedIn Learning is nice. Most people aren't going to want to pay for it, but LinkedIn Learning is the same thing as lynda.com. And most libraries, I know our library does, I think most libraries have Lynda as a service you can get through your library subscription, your library card. Yeah, you should look into it if you don't. If you go to your library's website and see if that's one of the things, because their stuff is pretty good. They've got really good productivity stuff, photography courses, really well produced, top notch teachers. It's not just somebody doing a YouTube video.
Huh. No, I'll definitely have to check into that. I mean, I'm very much a fan of the local library. I don't know about your library system locally there, but we have access to thousands of ebooks that I can get on my Kindle that are, brand new ones that I'd otherwise be paying, $10 for if I went out and bought it. So,
and you practically never have to buy a magazine because all the leading magazines are available e-copies from the library too.
Yep, absolutely. So a word of excitement for 2018. Go check out those libraries and the many services that they offer.
All right, so I got a kind of a that's not productive idea for you. Just because I wanted to bring the song out again because I love this song. Anyway, so we talked before about listening to podcasts and audiobooks that increase speed and whether that's productive or not. But I found the video version of this. So I will still sometimes get DVDs, especially for TV series. I find it's cheaper that way. You can sometimes, instead of buying the episodes or renting them online, you can get the series on DVD a lot of times cheaper and catch up on old episodes. And so what I do, because I wanted them to be portable and be able to take on my trip, and I don't want to lug a portable DVD player with me or the big box of DVDs, is I rip them on my computer using Handbrake or something like that. What I found is on both the computer version and the mobile version of VLC, which is one of the best media players, you can increase the rate of speed. So I have been, some of these television shows I want to catch up on, watching them at like 130, 140%, and it doesn't speed the sound up. It doesn't like speed the pitch like the Chipmunks, but you still can keep up with it. Where you catch it faster is when they drive cars and it looks like they're in the Daytona 500. But I found that I recently went to New York and I was able on the flight, which from Greenville was only an hour and a half, 2 hours, I was able to knock out about 3 or 4 episodes in one flight.
Oh, that's great. I'm familiar with VLC. I've used it to speed things up, but it's only been for audio. I'd never even thought to do it for video. Yeah.
So, again, I think for some people that may detract from the enjoyment of the show. If it's a suspenseful show, it may, shorten your suspense, but I find if it's a normal television show you would watch, you find the right speed. Sometimes I slow it down a little bit, but I find 115 to 130%, it still isn't, it's at the level that it's still easy to keep up and hear all the dialogue and see what they're doing without it being too distracting.
Yeah, I think the shows where that would be the best for me. I love watching the cooking competition shows. But having that go 15% faster would be not a problem at all.
Yeah, definitely. Some reality show or something, yeah. You wouldn't necessarily, I don't know if you'd want to do it on Game of Thrones or something, but the other but shows like that, you definitely use a way, especially if you're really busy, to still be able to take a break without having to go up an entire hour.
Oh, right on.
This has been ProdCast, the personal productivity podcast from CRM Audio with Matthew C. Anderson and Joel Lindstrom. You can follow Matthew at his blog, connectingthedata.com, or on Twitter at MC Anderson. You can follow Joel Lindstrom on Twitter at Joel Lindstrom. You can subscribe to the CRM Audio network of podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, or any place else that offers fine podcasts. This podcast is a production of Dynamic Podcasts, LLC.